Great deal there. Don't know why. Sorry. Must have been a technical difficulty. Hopefully we can move on from that and it got fixed. So don't know where we left off, but it was just basically talking about how Michael Jordan has ruined the game of basketball in my eyes. How he turned the three-step into the four-step, pretty much a walk to the basket, and then players after him built on just the boring side of basketball. And the game's gone downhill. And now with the horrible salary cap they have, it seems some teams could never afford any players, and other teams can always afford players. It makes no sense in general. I mean, I don't think the Knicks have never recovered. I'm a Knicks fan. It's pretty sad, but we can't even sign one decent free agent, and you have other teams got 4 or 5 all-stars in their team. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not the system as much as shitty ownership, but I don't know. It seems to the point of there's 4 teams. That's it, and every other team is just forget about no chance. And they always try to say baseball with the salary cap that it doesn't work out well because teams like Yankees spend so much. But if you look at baseball, there's a different winner literally almost every year. From the Royals to the Giants winning every few years. Every different team that's won. From the Cubs, amazing win. I mean, it's just you have different things each year, and different teams competing, different teams winning. In basketball, it's but sidetrack my part. Like I said, it's a LeBron James thing. Good for him going to LA if he wants to win. That's cool. If he went there for what the media is saying, which I doubt it, is to be part of the resist movement, he'll just embarrass himself. I mean, let's just leave it at that. So, we'll move on from there. Like I said, our stories that we can only take so much of. So there's the new Rub and Tug. It's the movie. It's supposed to be about a Pittsburgh massage parlor queen that was actually that was trans. The girl was trying to be a guy because obviously girls weren't obviously running massage parlors back in the day. So this new movie, based on true events. So Scarlett Johansson is going to be in it, and it's just fun to just read how many people are so mad that it's a woman and not a trans playing a trans part. They're so angry about it. And just going on and on about how angry they are and how dare her do this. And it's just pretty funny. But the funny part about it is at the end of all these comments you read, I mean, people constantly saying, why is Scarlett Johansson, why is she playing this role? Why isn't it someone who's a transsexual playing the role? Why are they letting someone like her do it? Whichever. Who cares less? It's other people's movie. They put whoever they want. Really, who cares in general? But the comments are funny. And then the funny part about it for me is at the end, somebody of these comments, whole string comments, everybody mad that's not a trans part. And then at the end of it, somebody goes, well, the one thing about this movie, the massage parlor movie, is it'll definitely have a happy ending. And that, my friends, is pretty much the whole humor in that, because the rest of it is pretty sad. Now, next up, on the news, we have Amber Heard. Now, never heard of her. Haha, funny pun on words. She told people to hide their nannies from ICE checkpoints in Hollywood. So this chick had the nerve to tell people that there's ICE checkpoints, that they're taking people, hide your nannies, hide your, your cleaning people, hide your gardeners. I mean, what is it that they're trying to say? That they hire illegals for all this stuff? Raids and fences and police state checkpoints. Blah, blah, with all this silly nonsense. So again, what is it that they're saying? Are they saying that all their all your landscapers, your housekeepers, and your nannies are illegals? I mean, are they the only people that'll do the job? Is that what they're saying? It's pretty absurd that they'd be saying that. Um, but what else do you get from the Hollywood? What else do you get from the elite left? There was a man who assaulted an officer outside the White House. So he punched a guy in the face. Is he part of protests going on? Who knows? Ridiculous. There was the Abolish ICE vandals who threw a brick through the window of a GOP office and they left graffiti. So was in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then, of course, spray painted. They threw bricks through the glass and then abolish ICE. Now, the reason why they want, the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement ICE abolished is because they're so mean, right? Yet they're breaking windows to prove this message. I mean, it's like the idiots that go outside of abortion clinics and they're like, abortion is murder, and then they're throwing bombs in the crowd, killing people. Makes no sense, right? You're protesting something that you're actually taking part in the same actions during your protest. I don't know. I guess it'd be the equivalent of if the vegans went to protest and they threw bacon everywhere, and so they're wasting it. I don't know. I don't even know. But ICE, these people all want to abolish ICE. Now, it's pretty silly. They probably don't even know what ICE does. So people are going to be able to land in this country and not have to get checked in. I mean, was it the other day? There was ICE was trying to take down was a child sex ring. They were, obviously taking advantage of little kids. And here you got idiots trying to stop ICE, throwing stuff at them when they're trying to take down a ring of people that are just basically selling little kids. But no, we want to stop that. That's what the liberals want. We want to stop these people. They're really mean, ICE. How dare them save the kids that are getting raped and tortured. New Jersey governor, my home state, moron. I mean, New Jersey elects moron after moron. Phil Murphy. It's going to dedicate $5 million in government funding. That would mean $5 million of taxpayers' money into local media projects. The so-called Civic Info Bill was passed by the state legislature in June to create Civic Information Consortium, nonprofit organization that gives grants to promote media in underserved communities, low-income communities, and communities of color. That's kind of weird. So only communities of color are low income and underserved, or is it underserved communities, low income communities, and just if you're in color, you actually also get some of this $5 million for media? Kind of interesting. What are we saying there, Murphy? It's just another scam like NPR and one of these other scams where they're just funding liberal media, like PBS. I mean, it's a scam to the highest degree. But what else? What else do you expect, right? What else do you expect from the libs and the lunacy? We had so this one was, unfortunately, I can't say it was surprising, but I guess, maybe we're thinking that we're going to change. We're going to start prosecuting criminals. But nope, today, I mean, it just came out that the ex-Debbie Wasserwoman Schultz IT aide, Ramawan, pled guilty to bank fraud in a deal with prosecutors. So prosecutors had so much stuff on this guy, and Awan was the former IT aides to congressional Democrats, a bunch of them, and a federal court case. Obviously, Trump's talked about it before. Many people have talked about it. There's got to be more to this. I mean, there has to be. There was him selling computers, stealing computers, and reselling them online, government computers, to a tune of over $100,000. There was him hiding stuff, his family members fleeing out of the country with all cash in hand they can get right away. I mean, they were real nervous about something. And then here it comes today. He pled guilty to federal bank fraud in a plea deal where prosecutors say they uncovered no evidence that Awan violated federal law with respect to House computer systems. Well, actually, he did. He stole federal computers and he sold them. And they can say whatever they want. They found nothing. Just that alone, we have no way to verify what was on those computers. He sold them. He stole and he sold, but that's not a crime, I guess, anymore if you're a liberal person. I don't know. In today's unbalanced justice system. So he pled guilty to making a false statement on a loan application. As part of the deal, the prosecutors dropped the fraud charges against his wife. So, I mean, what kind of deals are this? Here's a guy who probably has multiple federal offenses against him. Multiple. His wife's got charges. I mean, should have had charges pending. And his brother, and they dropped the charges against his wife. His brother or whatever will never be charged. And he's getting charged with a false statement on a loan application. Yes, I earned $100,000 this year instead of the $400,000 I earned from the stolen stuff, the stolen computers that I sold. So sorry, I didn't put that in on my income. False statement on my loan application. So the government was saying that they found no evidence that he illegally removed House data from the House network or from House members' offices. Stole the House Democratic Caucus servers, stole or destroyed House information technology equipment, or improperly accessed or transferred government information, including classified or sensitive information, they said in this plea deal. So this plea deal went out of the way to say how innocent he was. This was like an anti-Trump thing because Trump was saying he needs to be looked into. He did some bad stuff, I guess. That's kind of what the point of it, because they went out. In a plea deal, it's usually, this is what we're pleading to, and that's it, and everything's up. But they went out of their way to say how innocent this guy was of everything else, which is very strange and unique in a plea deal. And they're saying how they conducted such a thorough search. They interviewed 40 witnesses, took custody of the House Democratic Caucus server and other devices, reviewed electronic communications between House employees, and questioned Awan during multiple voluntary interviews, the plea deal said. Now, I don't know if they were voluntary because this guy tried to get out of the country. So he admitted Tuesday in the plea deal that he wanted to obtain home equity lines of credit from the Congressional Federal Credit Union, and he gave false information about a property. They're seeking a probation-only sentence without a fine or restitution. So the sentencing hearing is set for August 21st. So he does not even have a court-mandated electronic tracking device now, but he can't travel more than 150 miles from his residence. I mean, oh wow. In the plea deal, they didn't even get his wife who partook in that fraud. They're going to look for no jail time and then say how innocent he was when he stole and did other stuff. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I knew that there wasn't going to be much coming out of this. They're going to try to hide everything. But, I mean, it's amazing because even Democrats, they must have knew something. Because most of them got rid of this guy like a hot potato. And if all this guy was doing was saying something on his bank loan to get a home equity line of credit, which, why would he need? He had more cash than what he was trying to get anyway. So, something fishy about that. But obviously, fraud is fraud. All these Democrats need to get rid of this guy. I mean, Wasserman Schultz was the only one to keep him on. Now, why was he trying to skip the country? You'd think if this dude wrote a few different numbers on a bank loan, he'd be trying to skip the country right away, him and his wife. It just doesn't make sense. And of course, Debbie Wasserman Schultz there, she's excited because now she can say Trump spread lies. She can say, look, I was right to keep this guy on. He never did anything wrong. It just doesn't add up, though. It doesn't add up at all. I mean, there's just more fraud here. And look at how clouded our justice system is. There's no way. These things just don't add up. Like I said, this guy put a few false numbers on his loan thing, and he was trying to run out of the country as fast as he can with cash and just leave assets behind. That's all he could take. I mean, for that, no way. For a fact that even if that investigation alone, just for that, would take years, you wouldn't think you were getting nabbed for that at this point in time. He would have been long gone out of the country if that's what it was. So there's just no way. They wouldn't even played it like that. He knew something was up. They knew something was up. Yeah, I mean, just the corruption never ends. That's what you have around these days. Unparalleled justice, unequal justice. So now I guess the protest should be moving to Denmark. Immigrant kids in Denmark will be apart from their families 25 hours a week. They have to send their children because they're going to have to be educated on Danish culture. So this affects low income and a heavily Muslim populated area. Required to send their kids to be educated on the Danish culture. Now, when are the protests going to happen in Denmark? We should raise money and be able to send our protesters out there so they can take care of this injustice. So it's petition season. We see the Red for Ed still trying to tax people and get more money. Stop handing out lunches all summer. We'd have more money for the Red for Ed movement, right? But we see the guys with the clipboards, and I don't think that's the way we should run a political system. I think they can put stuff up. If you want to sign, you go somewhere and sign. They want to post up the information, you go somewhere and sign. But one to have people at federal buildings harassing you or other places, running around parking lots, chasing you down. And half these people sign under fear, You get some felon who it's his first job out of jail, 6 feet tall, and some moms with their kids just I'm going to sign this just to get away. I mean, seriously. Enough of this shit. It's like panhandlers on steroids. Stop it already. We should have a place you go and you want to sign for something you want to put on the belt, then you sign it there. If you're that interested, I know they'll say people can't afford it like I do, whatever. Bull. If you have so much passion for something, you'll find a way to do it. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Enough of that stuff. So now we can get on to something more entertaining. World Cup. So the first knockout round of 16 finished. And we did a special show for soccer. We did this weekend on Thursday night, which went over who I thought and what I thought was going to happen. So in case you didn't watch it, you can. Oh, now you can tell me how much of a fool I made of myself. But we had that first game. It was way back when now, the Uruguay-Portugal game, and I thought Portugal could win that one. And they ended up losing. So Uruguay advanced, and they will face France. France beat Argentina, as I thought. So it'll be France and Uruguay. And for that, the way that matchup is, of course, I will have Uruguay winning. France is, they move the ball around a lot. They have talent on the field, but just don't seem to be able to put a lot in the net, I mean, Argentina's Argentina. They're a mess of a team, but in reality. So you had Mexico again getting knocked out by Brazil. You saw the antics of Neymar Jr. laying on the ground like he got shot in the leg. Just some of the silly stuff that brings down the game, I mean, the referee's got to just make it clear at the beginning of the games, like, if you do any of this embellishment and stuff, I don't even care if you got fouled, I'm not calling it. and I will continue not to call it until you just play like a normal person. I'm not putting up with any of that stuff. That's it. So Brazil beat Mexico, and then they will be playing Belgium, who beat Japan in an amazing comeback. They were down 2-0, and Japan was really bringing it to them, and Belgium scored 3 goals. I mean, yeah, it was pretty amazing. The last one was in extra time. So good game there. And so, like I said, Brazil and Belgium will play. On the other side, you had Spain and Russia, and Spain had the game, controlled most of the game, let Russia score, and they lost in penalty kicks. And anything can happen when you get in a penalty kick stage. Your team could be way better than the other team, but if you have a hot goalie or a good goalie, I mean, what an amazing save it was by the Russian goalie, too. So Russia knocked off Spain. And then the other game was Croatia and Denmark. Croatia won. Croatia, just like I said, I thought they'd go far. So it'll be Croatian versus Russia, and I just see Croatia winning that game pretty handily for that. And the last one, you had Sweden and Colombia. Sorry, mistake there. Sweden and Switzerland played, and Sweden won 1-0. It was a pretty bad goal, deflected off the Switzerland. I don't know why he had his foot pointed that way. The defender deflected off his foot, went in the goal. So Sweden won 1-0, and they will go on and play England, who beat Colombia in a shootout. That was an amazing game for Colombia, considering James Rodriguez was not even playing. He was the best offensive player. He didn't play the whole game in Colombia. At times looked outmatched, but hung in there, and they scored. They scored late on a tremendous ball and tremendous header, which went off 2 Englishmen and into the net. And then no scoring in the overtime, and then, it was really, Colombia had the upper hand in the shootout at one point, and England came back and won it, scored in the last 2 where Colombia didn't. So England goes on, they'll play Sweden. I see England winning that game pretty easy. I see Croatia beating Spain pretty easily. And like I said, Uruguay will beat France in a tough game, but they'll win. And then Brazil, Belgium will win that game 2-1. Belgium is they're just a really solid team, and that's the way it is. And that's World Cup. So we have 2 days off of the World Cup, no games till Friday. But Saturday, the big event there, UFC 226 in Las Vegas. Not only do we have 2 titles on the line, but we also have pretty much what would amount to be a super fight, where we have a light heavyweight champ versus a heavyweight champ. So we'll get into all those. The first fight of the night is Gohan Saki versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. Gohan's 1-1, pretty new to the UFC. Khalil is 7-3. They're both strikers. I think the difference is going to be that Khalil has better takedown defense, and he can take down Saki. He'll be more apt to take him down. So he's a better takedown defense, better takedown offense. So I see that one, Khalil, second round submission. That's it. I don't know. Not a major fight. Don't see anything coming too great of either one of these guys. Next fight, we have Anthony Pettis, former lightweight champion, versus Michael Chisla. I don't know. So Michael's 14-3, Pettis is 20-7. Pettis is a well-rounded finisher, has some amazing kicks and whatnot, but that was a time that seems far away now. Pettis has looked like a shell of himself recently, and Michael Chisla, submission finisher, but this is his first fight back since the Conor McGregor incident, where Conor threw a dolly at the bus, and Michael was one of the people that got hurt in that. So interesting there. Interesting that it's the first fight back from that. So another training camp. And, I don't know. For Mike, I think he's going to take this fight to the ground. He'll show Pettis' weak points, and Pettis is just not who he was. Back in the day, this would have been a romp for Pettis, but the way Pettis has fought recently, He just doesn't look good. I see a third round submission for Michael Chisley. He'll move on. And Pettis, I don't know. He's just kind of a gatekeeper these days. In the next fight, Francis Ngannou, 11-2 versus Derek Lewis. Now we know Francis coming off his title bout loss to Stipe Miocic, where he just had some big swings early, came close in the beginning, but then gassed out and obviously lost by decision. Obviously a super power punching striker is Francis Ngannou. And Derek Lewis is a pretty big striker of himself, not the same power as Francis. Can Lewis make it, to round 2? Is he going to be able to withstand Francis Ngannou, who's going to be a wounded animal coming out? He wants to win badly to get another shot. And, Lewis has won 7 of his last 8. He's definitely a quality opponent, but I just see Francis knocking him out in the first round. He's going to catch him early, he's going to come after him, and he's going to rock him, and he's going to put the finishing touches on him. And it's just the way it's going to be. Lewis he's got a decent chin. He definitely hits hard himself. His cardio is suspect, but I don't even think this fight's going that long. Like I said, first round win for Francis. So in the co-main event for a title, Max Holloway of 19-3 versus Brian Ortega, who's 14-0. Holloway impressive. He's won 12 in a row. His last loss was to Conor McGregor. Long time ago, though. Holloway has definitely developed nicely since then. He's definitely a more rounded fighter. Ortega, his last fight obviously speaks for itself. First person to put out Frankie Edgar. Max will get his shots. He definitely has skill on the ground. He has skill standing. And he definitely has the heart of a champion, Max Holloway. He's been in deep waters. He's found a way to hold through. People are always thinking they have him, and he finds a way to win. But Ortega's a different breed. He can beat you through striking. He can beat you through submission, the triangles. And he's just really big. For that weight class, he is huge. When you look at him and Frankie, it was like Frankie was getting some early shots in Ortega, but look, he's just looking like, are these guys even in the same weight class? Ortega is just a big dude. I see it as, like I said, Max will have his moments and stuff, but I see Ortega winning. Third round TKO. I just think he's too big and strong, and he just has a lot more ways to win. Even though Holloway's well-rounded and Holloway's a tough dude, I just think Ortega's going to wear him down, and Holloway makes that one mistake where he's hurt and tired, and that's it. Ortega gets him out. And Ortega will be your champ there, or the time comes until he decides to move up a weight class. So the next fight, you have 2 champs. Light heavyweight champ Daniel Cormier, who's 20-1, versus Stipe Miocic, who's 18-2. They were both on the UFC reality show, opposite coaches. Pretty cordial, got along, no silliness, so it was pretty good. Cormier, Olympic caliber wrestler. Stipe, he could definitely take a shot and give a shot. Stipe always finds a way to win. Dude's definitely got hard. He's taken big shots, been rocked, and found a way to get around that. I think this is definitely going to be a long fight. Definitely 5 rounds. Both guys will have their moments. Both guys will be staggering around at times. The question is will Cormier be able to keep on putting Miocic on the ground and wear him out that way? Is that what's going to happen? Or is Stipe going to be able to keep this up on his feet for a bit of the fight? If he can do that, that's more in his favor. If it's a grinder where Cormier can take him down and be on top, because I don't know how good Miocic's defense will be when Cormier is on top of him. Cormier is pretty good at laying you down, keeping you down. But I see this fight kind of like the Gustafsson-Jones fight. And I see it kind of that way for Stipe. I see Stipe winning this fight where he's going to just take it in that fifth round. This fight's going to be even going into round 5, and Stipe is going to find a way to win it. He's just going to suck it up and find a way to win it. I mean, that's the way I see it going. I just think Stipe is a little bit bigger, and he's just got hard, and I think you will definitely see some effects of the last fight when Cormier got knocked out by Jones. I mean, that was a brutal knockout, and it was really the first time in his career he got manhandled, Cormier. So obviously that was the no contest because Jones was on drugs again, cheating, but you know, it's still it doesn't wipe away what happened and what's going to be left over from that. So I see, you know what, Stipe winning 5th round decision, and a split decision at that. And that'll be a good wrap up there. There's one fight on the early card, which is Paul Felder and Mike Platinum Perry. And Mike Perry's always fun to watch, and Paul Felder's a hard hitter too. So that ought to be a pretty exciting fight, and we'll see if Mike Perry can get back to his winning ways, or maybe he starts to send down more of the bad way. But Mike Perry is pretty entertaining, to say the least, with that. So that's UFC 226. That's your preview for this Saturday. That's pretty much it for that part. So back to, so it is Hall of Fame weekend this week for the UFC. And one of the UFC founding fathers finally receives his Hall of Fame honor, which is pretty good. I mean, I've been watching UFC since the beginning days where it was on VHS, where they had the guy with the big hands, where there were no rules, and you'd see 400-pound dudes fighting dudes that were like 180, and you'd see a little dude come in and kick his butt, or teeth flying, or people grabbing their gi, people fighting 3 times in one night. So just really good, and a lot of people don't even know. Like, most people think it was definitely like Royce Gracie and his dad had something to do with this, but it was a guy by the name of Art Davie. He was Brooklyn born, an entrepreneurial type of guy. He worked in advertising, was a car salesman. And what is it? UFC 1, November 12th, 1993 in Denver. So he'll be getting honored at the Hall of Fame ceremony they have. Also, obviously, the headliner there will be Ronda Rousey. This will be the first woman. And that one's July 5th at the Palms in Vegas. But, just for art, I mean, we know what Ronda Rousey did for the women and stuff, obviously. Just brought them into mainstream. But for, Art Davie, I mean, the contributions he made to the UFC, he laid the foundation for not only UFC, but for MMA as a sport around the world. I mean, he trained, Ryan Gracie in California in the 80s. And he used to just kind of have people come in and try to, the Gracie challenge they had, where can you come into their place and beat one of their guys? Beat them at their family trademark jiu-jitsu. So Davey actually did like a successful mail order business where he sold VHS tapes of the fights that he filmed in Gracie's garage. Wasn't even in gym at that time. And he was saying that he knew this was going to make money. This is bigger than this. I mean, he was saying, Davey, that kind of like back in the day, from old wrestling, Bruno Sammartino, a name my parents would mention, fought Muhammad Ali. What would that be like, right? Muhammad Ali, the boxer, Bruno Sammartino, the wrestling, obviously wrestling, not real, but what fighting style is the best? So he thought, man, how can we make that happen, fighting styles? Being challenged on multiple fronts. And Gracie pretty much wanted to run his gym, but he thought it was a good idea, Gracie, to put his family's jiu-jitsu on a bigger platform. And so Davey handled the business aspect. They had pitched the idea to HBO, Showtime, ESPN, and people thought it would be too gruesome. And then it was the original pay-per-view was SEG, so it was Semaphore Entertainment Group, and I didn't even. That was funny. I used to see it on there. I'd see their logo and stuff, but I didn't even know what they were known for. I guess they were known for they had a New Kids on the Block concert telecast. So that's how they kind of got famous, SCG, and then they started, teaming up with the UFC, gave the UFC a chance, and it took off from there. I mean, just amazing how it all came together. From that point, and then when the UFC bought it, but it's good that they're going back to the roots and giving Davey his moment in the sun and stuff. I mean, just pretty amazing story of how it turned out to be, where teeth were flying and there were no weight classes, and boxers versus MMA people, guy wearing one glove, just funny stuff. If you could ever look back and find some video, it's just a wild and amazing, and it's a reformed kind of sport we have with rules and regulations, and amazing. I mean, it's still in its infancy, MMA fighting, but just the amazingness of how it evolved. I don't know, but that's good. Now, obviously, last week we talked about walk away. Big movement that's coming out. People just walking away from the liberalism, which they're realizing it is. It is a sad day and age. Like, it's almost like a mental disorder, liberalism, or it is really. I mean, to be honest. And now it's been all over the news. Huge, just turning of events. People walking away from whether it was they were wearing their American flag T-shirt, and people calling it imperialistic trash. Just amazing how many people are getting in on this and telling their story. When you have idiots with their white guilt tying themselves up, chaining themselves to the ground, saying they're ashamed to be in white, people realize, man, is this the party I really want to be with? People that were teachers seeing children around, and certain children set up to believe that everything is racist and people are against them. People are starting to learn to take responsibility, make your own changes. Who's responsible for your life at the end of the day? You're going to listen to some fools that tell you you're the downtrodden, you don't have a fair chance, and we're the only people who are going to help you. Is that what you're going to listen to, or you're going to take charge of your own life and do something? I mean, that's what it's all about, There's the, I don't know if everybody's seen it a lot. I've seen it, the Trumpy Bear official commercial. Pretty interesting. It's just a little teddy bear. It's supposed to look like Trump, and almost like one of those mail order things. Send 2 payments in $19.99, and you can get your Trumpy Bear. Pretty humorous commercial, and interesting, to say the least. I'm sure with those are popping blood vessels just watching that. Now, here's an interesting science question, or science question for the week. We don't have Bill Nye, the science fraud, here for our science question of the week, but I'll ask it and hopefully someone can answer for us. So, why is bacteria considered life on Mars, but a heartbeat is not considered life on Earth? That's our science question for the week there. Maybe Bill Nye, the science lie, can help us answer that. I was reading, obviously this week, the libs are going crazy about, of course, there's another SCOTUS, Supreme Court justice that Trump is going to be picking soon. Supposed to have his decision out by next week, who he wants to nominate. And of course, They're insulting the girl, they're insulting this guy, they're insulting this person. But if you look at what do the libs, what do the loony libs want out of the SCOTUS? And they want what? The SCOTUS who's had an abortion. The SCOTUS who's pro-choice. One that's an undocumented immigrant. One who's a union worker. I mean, it's almost like a joke, a Mad Lib joke. You know, liberalism is a mental disorder. Guinness Brewery going to open their first in the U.S. in decades. That's pretty cool. Guinness, the more breweries they have, the fresher it is, right? Right. So, let's see. I don't know where else we want to go here. I mean, definitely July 4th Eve. Hopefully everybody gets out tomorrow and has, a good time, but remembers the people that made sacrifice and just is happy. Happy to be, in a country where you have the freedom, like I spoke of before. This was a Ocasio-Cortez chick. Now she's on every show. She won some minor election in New York against a Democrat. She didn't even win the actual election. It was a primary. And now she's the future of the Democrat Party, future socialist, even though she really doesn't know what a socialist is. Now they're saying Bernie Sanders is too much to the right, that they need somebody like her. She's the new and improved Bernie Sanders. And she said how poor and life was tough. The old story they tell you. Back in my day, I was poor. I grew up. We had to eat spit for dinner. And now you hear how she lived in a rich house and she's saying, well, that shouldn't mean anything. That shouldn't disqualify me. Well, nobody's saying it does. It's just, that's not what you portrayed. And then it was, now all of a sudden she has a degree in economics she talks about. Yet she talks about socialism. Obviously, her economic degree doesn't mean much if she thinks socialism works in any form of government that makes people flourish. Sorry, it just doesn't. It just does not. Socialism doesn't flourish anywhere unless you're in the top 0.5%, and even that, you have to be really in the top 0.25% for it to flourish. For everybody else, it doesn't even nourish. What's this? A little visible by a camera. It's a bug. It's a yucky bug. Let's kill him. Oh no, they're killing the bug. They're gonna abolish me. And we guys have all heard about the Walmart boycott on their marketplace, which actually isn't them. It's people that sell stuff online. It was in Peach 45 clothing. I don't know. Why would I boycott? Why would I care, to be honest? Who cares if that's what they want? Whatever. Then they talk about World Cup ratings down in the U.S. Well, of course, the U.S. team isn't here. And, of course, the times are pretty difficult to watch. I mean, to be honest, if you work a regular job, you can't really watch it. I mean, you have one game on at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, the other game on at 11. So, obviously, that hurts the ratings. It is what it is. Then there was a secret pro-life movie filming in New Orleans. Now, of course, shooting permits pulled, crews walking off sets, directors told to F off. What do you expect from these people? And 3 new Kevin Spacey sexual allegations. What else is new? Venezuela, there's your socialist paradise. Running out of water, eating zoo animals. I mean, pretty pathetic. Pretty sad for the people who live there, but pretty pathetic. And the people that live there would be really upset to know that there are morons here that talk about that's what they want. That's a utopia. That's a paradise. We want to live in a country like that. We want our country to be like that. Yeah, it's pathetic as they come. But what else do you expect? There's not much else you expect from these loons. That's all they have all the time. So, here's another question. Now, not a science question, a regular one. So we can easily get like 10 cities, right? for illegal aliens, and we can do that for actually jails too. We had Tent City out here as a jail. Now, why don't we do the same for the homeless people? You can have little tent cities for them. Or the same thing for our homeless veterans, more importantly. You can have little tent cities. How come we don't do that if we're so concerned? You know, it makes sense. I mean, we're doing it for other people. But not, I don't know. What else can we say about that? So, I mean, you know, liberalism out of control. That's pretty much what we can sum up on July 4th Eve, right? They want to tell you what kind of car you can drive. You know, it's got to be this amount of gas mileage from this. It can't have gas. It's got to have batteries. You got to pedal it. You know, here's what you can eat. You can't eat this. You can't eat that. We're going to declare this unsafe unless they put this in there. They control your money by the high taxation. If they tax you to death, you don't have any money. The liberals want to tell you where you can and can't smoke, if you can smoke in your house or not. They want to control what you drink. You know, they want to control what kind of guns you have. You can't have ones that shoot too many bullets. You can't have ones that do this. You can't have ones that protect you. They want to control your news by taking other people off the air or by putting money into funding their liberal bull, just like they do in New Jersey. Takes taxpayer money to fund news like PBS. You know, Trump should be on that stuff and abolishing that. They want to control what type of dog you have. They want to control what type of health care you have. They want to control how you raise your kids, when you teach them about sex, when you don't. They want to control their education in general or full. You know, this is what we can do in school. We're going to force feed these kids in school because they can't eat what you send them. They got to eat what we give them. And we're going to feed them in the summers, even when school's not on, even though we're already giving their parents money to feed them. You know, they want to control what kind of light bulb you can use. You can't use the round one that's cheap. You got to use this more expensive curly cube one that's more dangerous, but it might last an hour longer, so there you go. You know. I mean, remember, it's just a bunch of clowns running around, and then you got these clowns in the late night shows think they're teaming up and think they're humorous, and they have some comedy. This guy's babbling to this one, and they want to insult Trump because they're mad. They got the panties in a bunch of Trump insult them. But I mean, they've all made themselves out to be irrelevant clowns. Some of them were funny at one point, like some of them weren't ever funny, but some were somewhat funny at one point, and they become unfunny. You know, Johnny Carson was saying, I think one of the dangers if you're a comedian, which he thought of himself as, and that's what do these people at night not think they're comedians? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they think they're there to do PSAs. Maybe they think they're there to do thought re-education camps. But Johnny Carson, who thought of himself as a comedian, you know, said if you start to take yourself too seriously and you start to comment on social issues, like seriously not making jokes about them, you know, your sense of humor suffers somewhere. And it makes sense because you're always bashing somebody, you're going on a way to bash somebody that's not funny because you just think you're doing a PSA announcement. You start to become unfunny to groups of people, you know, and then it just becomes a hit piece constantly, and then you're reaching for more material on that person, and you look silly. What is it? It was sometime last week. One of the funniest things I actually heard, Mitch the Gobbler McConnell. Everybody knows him. They say he's a Republican, but I haven't seen it yet. He was talking about energy in the party and how there's energy in the party. That was one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. For Mitch McConnell to talk about energy anywhere is pretty ridiculous. This guy wouldn't know energy if it hit him in the face. I mean, this guy is the goblin and the stuff's flopping underneath and it's hitting him there. I mean, you saw him, even when the punks with the hats turned sideways and backwards were telling him stuff. He didn't have a word to say. It looked like he was about to fall asleep. And his wife Chow had to come out, and she had to put these punks in their place and tell them, no, don't be talking like that. Whichever. Just remember, Maxine on Toilet Waters is insane. Have a good and then a great, as the day progresses, July 4th. Think of others, think of yourself, think of America, and think about how lucky we are to live in a country where we're as free can be, especially compared to other places. Until next week, be safe and have a great week.